I'm here because I want you to know some of the people that I get a chance to meet every day. Every day I'm blessed to meet a host of wonderful, wonderful people. And tonight I am so blessed to have T.Y. Martin, famous playwright, and Glenda, who is trying to dial in right now. If you want to spread the word on how to listen and how to get in contact with us, it is 319-527-2422. Okay, so I'm not sure if Glenda is going to be able to join us in a few minutes, but I'm glad to say that I have contact with her, and she actually is in Canada.
I'm here, Mary.
Oh, there you are. Fantastic. Well, I spent a fair amount of time, and T.Y., you can attest to this, talking about Queen Mother Mary. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time boring people about what that's all about, because I was graced to be.
It's not boring.
Graced to be on Glenda's show, and we had just a wonderful time just talking about Queen Mother Mary and all the things that I'm into. So I'm not going to bore you because I am surrounded by talent coming to the right and to the left. And I'm just going to take a few minutes and allow each one of our guests. Well, T.Y., he's kind of like a co-host because, sometimes he just takes over and just lets people talk about what's going on, and then
right?
Sometimes he just takes over, So
I love it.
As I mentioned, this is T.Y. Martin. He is a famous playwright, and he is also a very trusting soul because he allowed me to be the executive producer of one of his upcoming productions or reproductions of the Garment. And T.Y., can you just take a little time and just grace us with some information about you,
Absolutely.
about what you're doing, and Glenda, chime in. And then I want to extend the same privilege to you to just tell us, this lady has a story to tell. Chrysalis Studios, it's all about capturing a story. So I'm a sucker for a good story. So, T.Y., what's going on?
Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm honored to be here tonight. It's a great honor to be here tonight to speak to everybody. I'm doing actually a nice, it's so nice. I love doing this production. It's called The Hem of His Garment. It's a production that deals with faith. And it's an award-winning play. I won an award for this play about 4 years ago in the Bahamas on a cruise ship. The award ceremony was on a boat. And the production is making its triumphant return to the stage here in Atlanta. And then from Atlanta, Richmond, Virginia, D.C., New York, and Cleveland, Ohio, hopefully. And the play is, like I said, the play is about faith. It's about your faith in God. Whatever your faith is, it deals with, it's not about religion. It deals with you, no matter what race you are. Like I said, religion, race, or color, whatever. It's about your faith. And this production is been known to change lives. It's about the fourth time I've done it. 3 cities. This will be the third city. Again, we did it here in Atlanta 4 years ago. Like I said, it's making its triumphant return back to the States. And I'm just excited about what we're doing with this production. The cast members are so amazing. They are so good.
I've been watching some of the trailers that you've been putting out on Facebook. They are just, it just touches your heart. It is wonderful. I don't know.
Do.
Well, I know how it happened.
Right.
It's by divine intervention that these people are playing these roles. It's just like it was meant for them. So it's just
exactly.
Wonderful.
That's what shocking to me. I wrote the play. I'm directing the play, and it's so still amazing to me. Even though, the play is so powerful that sometimes, in the last time we did it, I wanted to take my name off. I wasn't worthy of my name being on this play, The Hem of His Garment. I wasn't worthy of it. Because, like I said, it's not about me. It's about the message. And it's
And once again, it kind of touches on the theme of storytelling. We all know that everyone has a story, and it's wonderful when you can take that creativity and bring someone else's story to the stage or to film in order for it to touch our hearts and in some way change our lives. And Glenda, I'm just going to bring you into this conversation because I know that we've talked about this a lot, about like something that's in your heart that you know intuitively that you have to do and respond to. So Glenda, if you can just take a few minutes and introduce yourself, talk about your show, and talk about how you're tasked with touching lives and helping people change their lives. Glenda, are you with us? I think we're losing contact with Glenda, but Glenda, whenever you can get back in touch with us, we will greatly appreciate it. Glenda, are you there? Okay, well, there's a thing, we don't want to lose 1 second of airtime because we have people that are out there who dedicated their time to listening to us. And T.Y., back to you. You said that you are working on this production, but I know that you have a long history of successful theatrical performances. And tell me a little bit. I know that I say this all the time, and it just rattles off my tongue. You're 8-time award winner. Now, what is that all about, and what impact has that been on your life?
Myself, being an award winner, it's like, I don't know how to answer that question because, like I said, I do things. I write plays for people. I don't write plays for me. I don't write plays to win awards. They just win the awards, And God gave me a gift to do it. I started out at fashion merchandising. Did that for 12 years. And I did stand-up comedy for 10 years. And then through all that, I was doing theater. But then I was doing theater for other reasons, except for what I'm doing now. Now I'm doing it for the people. The years when I first started, I was doing it for myself, making myself feel good, prestige, or whatever. But I realized it's not about me. It's about the people. It's for the people. Your gift is for the people. Your gift is not, it's a gift to you, but a gift keeps on giving. Meaning, like, give me a gift, it's not mine, it's for the people, especially something positive like what I write. So I write stories about life. No matter what color you are, I write stories about life that people know about. Okay. No matter what race you are, people know about, life stories, situations. I love it. And people seem to like it. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna talk to Alan for a minute. Alan, if you can unmute 7817, I think I can get in contact with Glenda again. 7817. Hello, Glenda.
Hello, I'm here.
All right. I did read your message, and and so for those who are listening, I'm trying to learn how to start engineering my own radio show, and there's certain cues and everything that we do to make this show into a production. So Glenda, if you could just spend a little time and talk to us a little bit about yourself, your powerful story, and what you're doing to bring some of your knowledge and wisdom to us on a daily, weekly basis. Glenda?
Thank you so much, Marion. It's totally an honor for me to be here with both of you wonderful people, and I feel so delighted to be here. And thank you for bringing a Canadian on board as well. Always like to yes, I am a true Canadian. I'm a true Torontonian. So thank you so much. So as I found that we're just listening to Faiza about his story. It's about about doing others to doing things for other people. And I guess throughout my entire life, I kind of was born an old soul. And it just seemed that people always came to me for advice and for acknowledgement of things. So I'm now a life coach and also a life and business coach, and it's come to me on different ways. I guess the good Lord has given me the voice to talk and to, most importantly, to listen to what people are going through. And I guess one of my biggest things was what happened to me a few years ago, because I always believe that things happen to us that instead of cratering for it, it's meant to bring us up and make us stronger. I just kind of look at that as basically been my life. I am from a family of, there's 4 siblings, and 2 of my siblings are mentally challenged. And through my life now, as my parents are now passed on, my brothers have become now part of who I have to look after in my life, and they've been some of my greatest teachers. But, my life has always been very busy because I do have my family as being the number one on my list to look after. But what ends up happening to me creates another whole world around what I've had to have accomplished and lived through. I was in a relationship about 5 years ago, and that was it was a long relationship. The relationship was about 14 years. And through that relationship, like I mentioned, I've always been very busy because of family and all the rest. So, when I've had situations that's come around, that have risen to me, and, something feels funny, life was just too busy at times to even acknowledge things. So, when you have those funny feelings, I just kind of kept shrugging them off because I was too busy. Then one day something happened to me. An email came into my business, which my partner and we were working at this business together, and I asked what it was, and this email that came in, he just let it off to be that it was nothing and to just forget about it. But there was some message that was coming to me that was stronger than I could actually allow it to just accept it as being nothing. I don't know why. Anyways, that night I just couldn't sleep because something kept me up, and I decided to. I went downstairs to my partner's office, and I sort of started snooping around, and found a list of passwords, and I went into his email. And lo and behold, what happened was I opened up his emails, and there were conversations, emails, pictures of all these different women. So to be on to make it a bit of a short story, he throughout our 14-year relationship was having multiple affairs. And so at that moment, of course, it's in the middle of the night and everybody in the house is sleeping, my heart sunk. But so let me go back a little bit. Many years earlier, I had also been married and to my husband, who I had my children with, and that relationship lasted about 12 years. And even though we tried to make it leave the relationship on good terms, it didn't turn out that way. I ended up during that time having 2 babies to bring up, and had no child support, spousal support, anything, because he was just convinced that he was going to try to destroy my life. So going back now to this time where I open up these emails and I see all this, I knew that I just couldn't all of a sudden say anything, because all of a sudden I had a flashback of what happened to me many years earlier and how much I had struggled with having two babies. So that night I said nothing, and I actually kept my mouth closed for, if you would believe it, 8 months. I didn't say a word of what I had found. And what I did is I decided that in my own head that I was going to be playing a part in the movie, and it was going to be my movie, and I needed to line myself up and get myself in order so that I knew at that point that this relationship was going to be over, but I wasn't going to be as gullible as I was the first time. And I set myself up. I got myself, I changed all my my beneficiaries. I changed my will. I started. I became a private detective. I started buying. I bought all these things so that I could keep track of where he was going and what was meeting, and as I was convinced him to sell our house, I packed. When I was packing, I coded the boxes so I knew places where I was going to be moving things. I got a lawyer. I organized all my financials. I got everything together. And then finally the house sold, and then before anything, I also had convinced him to do everything and get the lawyers and everything. And by the time the house sold, I actually had transferred the money out from a joint account into my own, and then said afterwards, I met up with him and then showed him all the things that I had found through the months, and ended up telling him at that point that my lawyer had all the money and now we will start to negotiate. But what I went through during those 8 months was it was a movie, and it was bizarre. But what it gave to me was telling me that how important it is to listen, because I had no idea to do. I was just falling apart, but I knew that I wasn't going to be left at the same point where I had done many years ago. But every day as I meditated, things came to me, and it gave me a path of what I needed to do to move forward and to keep moving on. And I followed every single thing that came to me. And by the end of this turn, everything that I had done worked out right down to the very end. Even when I had calculated the amount that I would end up getting at the end, I got exactly what I had calculated. It was crazy, but it was listening to that inner gut, keeping control, keeping to myself more. Unfortunately, I pushed away from everyone because I didn't want anybody letting him know what I was up to. But the fact was, I had been so hurt because I had been such a good partner and had done so much for not just him but his family, that it was something in me saying, you know what, this is not going to be happening. Nobody is going to be doing this to me and to destroy me. And I knew that in that time I had this mantra that I kept on saying to myself, that every night when I would walk my dog to be able to sort of bring myself down, I would say to myself, every tear I shed, laughter shall follow. And I kept repeating that to myself every single day to keep me strong and keep thanking God that he was to keep me protected, to keep my children protected, because I didn't deserve what was being given to me. And, I turn around at the top of all this. I come away, and even though it was very hard, that strength in me pulled me and brought me to a new person. And from that, I have started now, 3 different types of companies. I help women and men, not just women, but of learning how to be strong in a divorce, how to make it through, how to organize if you don't. But even the most important part, and even I had somebody today, it's not that I believe that divorce is the end all in life, because I don't. I honestly believe that there's some partnerships that sometimes fall, and there's just because we allow ourselves to sometimes not continue with the romance. We get lazy in our relationships. So it's about learning to love yourself, learning to build yourself, learning that what is the best thing for you. If a relationship is good, then keep it, but work at it. But if it isn't good for you, then you need to move on, but you need to move on in a smart way, not in a way that's going to actually bring you down or hurt you mentally or financially or anything like that. And that's what I believe. It's all about being the best that you can be for yourself and the people around you. Once you know what the strength that you bring to yourself, those are the people that are going to be coming around you as well.
I really appreciate you telling your story. And as I say, both TY and myself are working towards bringing people's story to light, because out of everyone's suffering or their pain or their wisdom in having life experiences, there's someone on the other end that needs to hear this information for inspiration. And certainly, TY, you talked about how you on a spiritual level, working with this present play, you feel that that there's a message out there. And no matter what format we use, our experiences or our vision, our intuitiveness, our learning process, we are in position to help others. So maybe they can gain some wisdom, some insight, and perhaps they won't have to go through the same things that we either experience, we've observed, or we have knowledge of. And so I think that God places us, all three of us, in a very special position to be able to be there, not necessarily just so that everything becomes so beautiful in our words, helping people embrace the things that come into their lives. And I start intuitively thinking about things. I know, TY, sometimes you say, I got to feel it, and
yeah.
And Glenda, we've been talking about, like that intuitive thing that just touches you, that you can't let go of this thing. It's like a voice from within that tells you something.
Absolutely. And the other thing is what you're saying, and that's why for me also is there's so many people that when I had told my story that, I hear so many women as they get older, they hit their, their 50s and 60s, and they just say that this is it, like it's just the end of them. They can't get up again. And it's not just relationships, it's businesses and other things. And, for me, it's more about to show people that, no matter what happens in your life, you do have that strength. You can move forward from any diversity that happens to you and build yourself, because, you're not on this planet alone. We need to help each other, and that's why these stories are so important.
Yeah,
True.
I feel that, we're in a very unique position to be able to send that message forward. TY, I think that you've had a wonderful, gorgeous life, and you've never had any adversity in your life to challenge you.
That's certainly not true. That's certainly the opposite. Trust me, I've had tons of it. I started out, like I said, doing fashion merchandising for a lot of major retail stores for years. I was doing that. Then I stopped that, and I went on to doing stand-up comedy, touring with big names. I worked in the production for the tours, different tours like Destiny Child, Luther Vandross, Tyler Bell, different Whitney Houston, different ones. I worked for the promoter. I worked in production, and I learned a lot about the business. And I started writing plays, and I was already writing plays, but I wasn't producing any. But I decided to leave that alone and go on my own and just start writing plays. And I've toured the country. I worked in Canada for a while, Montreal and Ottawa, and all over the country. And this is this is my calling. My calling is to write stage plays that help people.
Yeah,
No
and
matter who you are,
and
it's to help people.
tell me, is
It's for
there?
everybody.
Of course, I might know the answer to just observing the behavior, the mannerism, the speech, and everything for people that help you in developing characters that have a message that people need to hear when you're doing when you're writing your plays. Do you find that you find uniqueness in people?
Well, writing plays. First of all, I'll start with this. Writing plays. I study people.
Mhm.
I study people. I study life stories of people. I listen to people. I study their movements. I study them, and I can write a play. I can write plays by just creating characters just by studying other people, and creating plays, putting down scripts, the truth, and I write about controversy. Like I said, I write about things that people are afraid to write about, and sometimes people don't know how.
In sharing your story, which I want to capture and film and perhaps put on stage, but in capturing your story, you touched on some things that may be taboo at the Christmas party, at the family gathering, and things like that. One of which is the big D word, divorce. Some people always look for who caused that? Who was the guilty one? There's always there's one person that's always perceived to be the guilty one, and one person that's always perceived as being the victim. And so often people don't want to talk about those things because it can cause fraction in families and friends and associates where you have to choose which one you want to align yourself with from here on, and it's not always necessarily that way. And T.Y., I know I've told you this a couple of times. I said you can come to my house sometimes on Christmas, and even though I've had several opportunities to be married, you might see everybody sitting at the same table. That's because I chose to come in as friends and end as friends. But it's not always like that, So people sometimes they choose. Sometimes they have to choose. And, then there's that other thing about deciding, again, even if it's not a marriage, just about a relationship, and where you can either be portrayed as a victim or, and once again, there's a guilty party, and usually the victim does not have a victorious story. There's no strategic planning to leave that relationship where you are empowered with your funds, your business development, and a real strategy there. So that in itself is a story that is not told often from the perspective of the person who finds out that there's someone that's not committed to the relationship. And it's, so that in itself are those two things, and are things that people do not want to talk about, but you can see them through the storytelling, but you can also see them through stage and films and things of that nature. So I think that we're very grateful to hear the stories and hear how we can capture those stories and bring it to the stage. I know, T.Y., you don't avoid any controversial subject in your plays. And Glenda, you don't avoid any opportunity to help people through coaching to learn that they can empower themselves to strategically make it through anything obstacle that comes up.
Anything that happens in your life, nobody needs to be a victim. I think it's I always believe in whatever happens in your life, you always should take the higher road, and then always hold on to the strength. You don't need to ever feel sorry for yourself. things happen for reasons, and they're just meant, for everything that we all go through. They're just meant to, they're learning experiences, and they're meant to be showing us and teaching us what we can do with them and do for ourselves. For years I was so busy always building everybody else's business and doing for everybody that I never felt I was able to do it for myself. And it showed me once I had no choice, and I wasn't going to build anyone else to do it on my own. So that's why, for me, it's very important for, like I say, it's not just women. I primarily work with a lot of women, but I do help men through these things as well, is to stay strong and have that determination that your life will take hold. As all you need to do is build your self-vision, give that vision of what you want, and you can have it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and there also just want to say I'm a student of Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and it's so important that people realize that they're so capable of doing anything that they want to do and need to do in their own lives. They just have to believe in themselves. So I sort of help them to believe in themselves.
Yeah. Well, you both know that, like we were a couple months ago, we were planning a show, and actually a program for kids with autism. And I know, Glenda, we've talked about this in our last interview with kids that have special needs. And TY, I know that you've committed yourself to teaching kids with autism how to act and things like that. So we're all working on those same things. But I met an individual who is quite talented in one area, and but he depends on a lot of people to help him in other areas, especially business, because he's self-identified as someone with special needs. So he has a special talent in his given field, but also admits and is okay with the fact that he needs other people to be part of his team to get through things of everyday living, And I know that, Glenda, I know your story is about learning to do things for yourself, but sometimes there are episodes where you need to rely on other people, and it's so important that you choose the right people to be a part of that mastery in order for
Absolutely.
you to embrace your genius, and see why I've talked with you a little bit about that. I think that sometimes in the creative arena, if you align yourself with enough people, you're allowed that creativity to flow a little more, and so feel free to just kind of jump in there to kind of talk about not only empowering yourself, but also developing, even if it's an intuitive feeling or a special message that you get, or something that tells you it's okay to rely on other people as long as those people are not toxic in your life. Is there something that you want to speak on that?
So, I'll speak on that. You have to make sure that people want the best for you. I've gone through all sorts of things, but it's very important that you put strong people that believe in you, that have positive mental attitude and that. But yet there are people that maybe don't have a positive mental attitude, but that they have a good heart and have the ability to possibly help, and maybe they just need a little bit of direction how to have that positive mental attitude. So it's not that you just take people and just say, well, he doesn't have a good attitude, we're just going to get rid of him, because maybe he's just never been taught that, or we're all part of a product of our upbringings and the people that we've all been associated with. So that's very important, and giving people the chance. Through my life with my own siblings, I've always been an advocate for them, and I always say when I look after them, and I do work with a lot of people who have mental challenges because I'm around a lot, and my brothers are now both living in a group home. I'm their advocate. I speak for them. When people aren't going to listen to what they have to say because one of my brothers isn't as vocal, I make sure he's heard by standing up and not allowing anybody just to take advantage or maybe not give him the respect that he actually does deserve. So I think a lot of things in life, if you really have to look out from where things are coming from. I believe that people with special needs are really an incredible gift from God because they are the talent and the kindness and specialness that they have in them, because everybody does have something. They teach us so much more than most people will ever really even realize, because most people don't give people with special needs enough of a chance. But society is doing better than what it used to. But I think the important thing that we all have to look at is we all have special things, and you have to see if somebody has a good heart and a good soul, then you give them a chance. And if somebody doesn't, then maybe you just step back from them, and let them go on their journey, and they're not meant to be into your life.
I think that's well stated. And, everybody presents themselves in a certain way, and is my feeling or my thought, because of my own personal belief system, which may not be yours or anyone else's, is that
right.
God does send special people into your life, and sometimes you embrace that, and just leave it on another level. But I do appreciate the fact that I know that both of you are involved in the lives of people with special needs, and that's a whole another area where you have to make sure that the people that interact are there to act in their best behalf, and not to take advantage in any way of that specialness that they've been given. And I agree with you, Glenda, that it can be a gift. I've interacted with a lot of people with autism that I learned so much from, and that I feel that I can just go back and just tap into a certain level of truthfulness that is beyond compare. So I thank you both for being involved in the lives of people with special needs. And I want to know now, I kind of gave a few people this number, and I know that you've posted as well, to call in. So, Alan, if you can see if there's anyone on the line that has any questions or any comments, can you kind of open the line up to see if there's anyone out there that wants to interact with us at this time? And I would say that that's an indication that no one called in at this time, or they're not ready to speak. But as usual, I believe that not always is there a chance to speak, but sometimes I know after I do these broadcasts, there are people that will send me a message and said, I listened, but I didn't want to say anything. And that's okay, too, because sometimes, like we said, everybody interacts with information on a different level.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's a time to listen, and sometimes it's a time to speak. So, I've opened this up so that you all can share some of your stories and everything. And T.Y., I'm going to bounce this back to you. We were talking about the hymn, and you mentioned, in addition to the hem of his garment, in addition to opening up in Atlanta, moving up to Richmond, which is my area, going to D.C., to New York, and then you also mentioned that there's an opportunity for it to be shown in Ohio. And tell me now, Ohio is your
that's
where you grew up. Is that correct?
My family is there. My family and a lot of my friends are there. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to touch back a little bit. When you grew up in Ohio, did you know that the stage was going to be an area that you felt comfortable with? Did you?
No, I did not. Like I said, I started out in fashion, and I went on to stage in comedy, being on stage in front of people. And I knew that
I'll ask you this. Okay. So here's the situation. I know that you know that there's a very special kid with autism that lives in Washington, D.C., and I am in Washington, D.C. now. And the reason I asked you about growing up there is because this young gentleman who's 12 seems to think that he needs to be the classroom clown. He has autism. He's high functioning autistic, and he thinks that standing in front of a group of people and trying his best jokes is the thing that he's supposed to do. So I wanted to know that, because you do comedy as well, as a young child, did you ever feel that you needed to entertain anyone, adults or anything like that?
That's funny you asked that. No, when I was a kid, I grew up on Soul Train, American Bandstand, dance shows. I grew up in dance. I wanted to be the center of attention wherever I go, but I was a quiet child. But my mom used to have a lot of friends. Her girlfriends come over all the time. They sit around and talking and drinking and whatever they did. I was young. I didn't know they were doing that. A living room full of women talking, and so I'm in my bedroom, being creative as a kid, doing, I don't know what I was doing, probably looking at doing something, act like I was singing some pantomime or doing something, and
so you were performing.
I was right to myself. So she would always call me. They would always call me out of the room to come in the living room to stand on top of the table and dance. Like a little stripper kid, but no. But I was a stripper at age of 5. No, so they would call me. They would give me like quarters and nickels and change, dollars and pens or whatever, just to come in and do the ladies' dance. And I would do it and get paid, get the money, collect the money, and go back into my room. Every time they come over, when they came over, I was the entertainment. Every time they come over, I'll be. I'm like, are they coming tonight? Are they coming tonight? I need money.
So there's something to be said for kids that feel like they're okay with being the center of attention. And I noticed that some of your trailers, some of your trailers show young kids that are entering into the entertaining field, and I know that you teach both adults and kids acting, and I think that some of the kids that are in your acting class, as I look at your trailers, are just really, really talented. So I guess I shouldn't worry about this little 12-year-old who wants to be in the center.
Don't worry about him. That's his personality. Let him create his own personality, create his own environment, and just grow with it. Grow out of him or grow into him. Let him do his own thing. It's him. Can't change him. Let him do it. Let him do it. If you think he's funny, let him think he's funny. Let him do it. Let him release himself. As long as he's being a good kid, good grades or whatever, let him release himself. They'll catch on.
Glenda, I know that you said that you had young children and everything when you were married and everything. Did any of your children decide that they want to be in front of the microphone or on stage or into public speaking or anything of that nature, watching their moms?
I think, it showed my daughter, who was sort of more of an introvert. It brought her out a little bit because she could see that I was always kept trying. Like I don't give up, and
Yeah.
so that's an important quality, especially for a woman, to keep going. And it brought my and also always being open to the kids. But my son, well, he's gone into law now, and he decided that he's he's a lawyer. He's a criminal lawyer for criminal defense. So he likes to be in front of the courtroom and to be talking, and defending the. He's the one who defends the underdogs. So that really empowers me, because I always taught them that it's about not judging a book by its cover and allowing people, to help other people who can't help themselves. So that's a very important message. But I love the fact of to have a child that goes up and becomes a little bit of the class clown is. I just love, because I remember a friend of mine that when I was growing up, he was always the one who wanted to be in front of everybody, and he brought a lot of humor out. And I think that's an important trait to everybody's like I said before, everybody's got special traits in them, and that's what we're here to show everyone, so that we were brought into this world for reasons, and if that's the one, it's all the more power to you. Beautiful.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because sometimes you can see early on certain traits and certain comfort levels, and being either in front of the stage, on the stage, behind the stage, or there's a role for everyone in every aspect of life. So
Absolutely.
Some of us are to do all of those roles, some of us to do part of those roles, and some of us are there to help facilitate and encourage other people to grow into themselves and be comfortable with who they're supposed to be in this world. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to realize that that you're not alone, but if you need to be alone, you can do well. And touch each other's lives when you get the opportunity to grow and everything. I'm so thrilled, because I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about looking back in our lives, and maybe reflecting on some aspect of either our own childhood, or how we help other kids to grow up to become the person that they're supposed to be. And Glenda, I'm so glad that your son feels comfortable in front of an audience. And T.Y., I think that some of the classes that you do help people in different ways, because even people who are not comfortable standing in front of people and speaking, if you're given a role, then they don't have to show themselves. They're showing something other than themselves. So they may develop a comfort level where if they're just standing in front of a group of people and they have to be themselves, they may not feel comfortable. But in standing in that same group of people, acting out someone else's role, they may develop a comfort level. And I've seen that unfold in a lot of areas. So, it's not the most comfortable thing for some people to stand up in front of people and say words or perform or do certain things. But I do think that acting helps a lot. As a matter of fact, I know that in the world of sometimes dealing with kids with autism, they found that acting classes has been very beneficial to them, because they do get to go outside of themselves and become another character.
That's true. It also helps people like that to even learn how to speak out for themselves. And so that's a very important factor
That's
for
true.
And it's not even just for autistic children, because watching children, I was always the one who had a house that was always filled with kids. My house everybody came to, so I would see that there were a lot of kids that didn't have the ability to speak up for and stand up for themselves. But there was also something I wanted to even say to TY about, the wonderful thing even about plays and getting these people acting and everything. But there's also other portions when you're doing a play that I find so amazing for so many people. It's, to put out a production of a play, it requires there to be so many different areas, not just the people being on stage, but how about all the artists that have to put together all these backdrops and all of this material that has to for as a play? Like, there's so much there that encompasses so much talent. It's like that to me is incredible, because you see the people that even if they work in the background, if it wasn't for those people and all that talent, the people on the stage wouldn't have a play to be putting out as well.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Everybody
is playing a part in that, and you just brought a certain level of, oh my gosh, to me, and thinking that TY, the production in Atlanta is going to be June 8th and June 9th, right? So all the background information has to be ready for the stage. All the backdrops and everything. And again, that is, Glenda, that was very well stated. If that doesn't go out, the whole scene, the whole idea, the whole concept is going to be missed.
Right.
So yeah.
True.
Yeah. So there's a lot of work that goes on that not everyone sees, and TY, you can account to this because I've talked to you
a lot of stuff going on.
about this.
A lot of things backstage people don't see. That backstage is not a joke. Backstage is not a joke. People are not dressed. People not ready. People not on the ready line. People ain't ready to go out. People still getting dressed, changing clothes. People back there talking. People back there. It's a lot of stuff going on. People yelling. I'm yelling at them. But back there cursing. No, I'm cursing. No, I don't curse. But it's a lot of things going on backstage that you don't see. When the curtain opens, you don't see it. But it's all part of it. It's all part of showbiz, of theater, of entertainment.
Yeah,
even backstage at a concert, at a Patti LaBelle concert or whatever, people think it's any entertainer. People think it's glamorous backstage. Oh, look, backstage. Okay, it's not glamorous backstage. It's boring. Backstage is boring. I tell people all the time, backstage is boring, because you don't get to see the artist until they're walking out the door, and then you can't get to them with that bodyguard. And it's just, I can get to them because I'm TY. But I'm just saying, some people want to go backstage and want to pay you hundreds of dollars to take them backstage and stuff, and I do take the money. But, it's like, but it's not glamorous. I still take the money.
One thing that, I want to tie in, because I think that, Glenda, both you and I get the opportunity to be in front of a lot of people, and they come to see, and they pay good money, very much like plays, just to because we have a certain level of knowledge that they want to invest in. And absolutely. I was listening to one of my friends, and see, we both do coaching, and so I always say coaches need coaches as well. So I have a friend who was given a introductory speech about coaching, and she said she was trying to teach some people how to feel comfortable going onto stage to do their presentation. And one of the things that she said, and I thought this was absolutely wonderful, is that she says, if you feel nervous about talking in front of a bunch of people, start talking before you get on stage. just walk in talking, and walk in clapping your hands and walk in doing. So she was given some simple tips on how to feel comfortable on stage, but a lot of us are still working on that. And so, as you coach, as you teach, as you empower people with that comfort level of being in front of people, it calls on a lot of things, because much like presenting a play, when you're in a group and you're getting on stage and you're one of 8 people or one of 6, and you put in a proposal of what you're going to present and things like that, there's a lot that goes on. Writing proposals, writing script plays, and it kind of correlates to the same thing, is that you have to feel a comfort level of being in front of people, and being in front of people is so important because you have a message that someone needs in order to better their lives. So I do thank the both of you for taking the opportunity to kind of present yourself, your stories and things of that on this program, so that people can be encouraged to go out there and live their life to the fullest. And this conversation is only beginning. I hope to be able to talk with both of you soon, and anything that you're involved in, just let me know, and I can promote on our show and promote in other areas. And I thank you very, very much for being here tonight and spending some time with people who are listening and letting them know that they can do the things that other people may say it's impossible to do. They can impact people's lives in such a way. And is there anything that you will want to say to anyone right now before we end up for tonight?
I can say some things. I want everybody under the sound of my voice to buy a ticket to the hit stage play, The Hymn of the Garment. That's what I want to tell everybody.
Okay.
Go to my page. Go to my page, Playwright T.Y. Martin, and see all the trailers and everything, and where to buy tickets. Playwright T.Y. Martin.
Glenda, what is your Monday show?
My Monday show is called Magic Mondays. And first of all, I want to wish congratulations, and I wish you well. I hope everything goes really well. And, hopefully I'll get a chance to see one of your plays.
You will.
Okay, I'd love to. And
you will.
I would just like to say to people that to stop listening to everybody telling you that things that you shouldn't be doing. And if you feel something is in your heart that you feel is the right thing to do, don't allow anyone to tell you not to. Just take a leap of faith and go and do it. And you'll that way, never be afraid of failure. Remember to